First and foremost, I would like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Go to squarespace.com/DanielSchiffer or use the code DanielSchiffer to get 10% off your first purchase. So if you've been around my channel for a little while now, then you might know that one of my favorite types of content to make is food videos. In the past, I've talked about how I film food content and what sort of gear I use, but today we'll be focusing on how I edit one of these videos. So without wasting any more time, let's dive in and take a look at how I actually assemble and put together a cinematic food video for a client. Here we are in Final Cut Pro 10, and as you can see over here, I've already imported all of my footage into the event viewer, and our first step is to create our project. I'll go up to File and make a new project. I'm gonna name it Poke Bowl, and I'll leave my video format at 4K. Resolution looks good, and my frame rate will stay at 24p. So to save us a whole bunch of time, I've already gone ahead and brought my clips into the timeline. I've removed the audio and cut out the excess fat, making sure that we've only got the part of the clip we actually need. And one of the great things about making food videos is that in most cases, your footage will be shot in chronological order. This means you won't have to spend a bunch of time rearranging clips in your timeline, and you also won't waste time searching or digging, looking for a specific part of your footage or a certain clip. But now that I've brought my clips into the timeline and trimmed them down, I find the easiest way to start editing a sequence is to bring in my music, which I've picked out beforehand. Now, a strategy I like to use when creating a short 30-ish second food video is to break it up into smaller chunks as if I'm gonna be editing a bunch of mini sequences within a big sequence. So what I like to do is bring my playhead back to the start of the timeline, and I'll make sure that my audio track is selected, and I'm going to be using the M key on my keyboard to create a marker on the song at each point where I feel like there should be a cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this once just to listen to it. And now I'm gonna play it again, only this time adding markers where I feel like I want my cuts. Now, because beforehand I've already cut down each clip in the timeline to exactly what I want to keep in the video, I'm not actually gonna have to cut or trim anything down. Instead, what I'll be doing is using retiming and speed ramping to conform each clip to the duration I want. So I'm gonna retime this clip here to 40% slow motion, and that happens to line up perfectly with our marker as you can see here. So I'm gonna move on to our second clip and change that to 40% slow motion as well, but you'll notice that this time when I slowed the clip down, it actually exceeds the duration we want as it goes past the marker. So what we'll do is create our first speed ramp transition, and this will shorten down the clip and make it fit within that marker, but it will also lead us into the next clip. I'm gonna make sure that our playhead is positioned over the marker, select our clip and hit Shift B on our keyboard, and this creates a speed ramp. I'll change the speed of the end portion of this clip to 2 times, and then I'll double click here to edit the source frame and drag that back until the end of our clip is lined up with the marker. To finish our speed ramp, I'll have to start working on our next clip, which I'll also retime to 40% slow motion. You can see here that our markers actually indicate that we have to shorten the duration of this clip quite a bit, so I'll move my playhead to somewhere close to the middle of the clip, hit Shift B, changing the speed of the beginning portion to 100% or regular speed. And I'll make a couple of other minor adjustments until the end of our clip lines up with the marker. Now, so far our sequence is looking all right, but we do have a lot of slow motion. So what I'm gonna do is start introducing some more regular speed clips to our sequence, and this will hopefully create some more variation. Rather than abruptly starting our next clip at regular speed, I'm gonna slow it down to 20% slow motion and speed ramp it up gradually to 100%, giving us a nice dramatic ease into our next 2 clips, which I will simply leave at regular speed. Because I've already trimmed all of my footage down, you can see that these 2 clips already line up nicely with our markers, which means we can start moving on to the next little chunk of our sequence. So just like before, I'm gonna play through the next portion of the song once just to listen to it. And now I'll play the song back again, but this time using M on my keyboard to create markers on the points where I want my clips to cut. Notice that this time around, I intentionally placed my markers differently to keep the pace of the video less predictable. To save us some time, I'm gonna speed up this portion of the video while I add in all the speed ramps and make everything fit. And then I'm gonna repeat the same process for the rest of the video. And all I'm doing here is more or less the same thing I did before with the first chunk we worked on, creating a bunch of speed ramps and transitions, retiming all of our footage so that it lines up and flows with our music nicely. So we've definitely still got quite a bit of work to do before the video is done, but this is what we have so far. Now, so far we are off to a pretty good start, but I definitely think we could do a lot better. But before we jump into that, I do want to quickly tell you about my website, filmer.ca. My website is where both my viewers and potential clients can learn more about me, see examples of my past work, and contact me with any questions or inquiries about future projects. For a few years now, I've actually been building all of my websites with Squarespace long before they ever contacted me, and they're offering all of my viewers 10% off their first purchase. Now, I've seen a lot of people say that they solely rely on Instagram and social media as their portfolio or their way of attracting new clients. And if I'm being completely honest, most of my serious inquiries about future clients and future projects come through my website inbox. One of the biggest advantages of having a website is using search engine optimization so that people who are actively looking for creative services can actually find you. So no matter what type of website you're building, Squarespace has you covered because they have so many templates and layouts to choose from. So once again, head over to squarespace.com/Daniel Schiffer or use the code Daniel Schiffer. Start your free trial today and get 10% off your first purchase. So back to our edit, the next thing I want to do is start spicing things up a little bit with a few more effects and creativity. I'm noticing that some of our clips are a bit static, so we can enhance that with some fake camera movement. At the start of our first clip, I'll set a keyframe on the scale at 100%, and I'll move to the end of the clip, changing the scale to 105%, and this will automatically create a new keyframe. And our clip that was static and previously looked like this now has this nice subtle zoom in. I'll go ahead and apply the same technique to a few other clips as well, but on this clip here, I'm actually gonna switch things up a bit, and I'm also going to add a keyframe on the rotation, and this will give us this interesting looking rotating zoom in. So next I'm gonna start working on some transitions. I'm gonna be using this smooth transition layer pack that I downloaded from Ryan Nangle, and this should spice up some of our cuts. Between these two clips here, I'll add a pan down transition as well as a zoom in, and then finish it off with some motion blur over top. So essentially what we've done is taken this hard cut and replaced it with a more seamless looking transition, and this adds a little bit of excitement and ties the two clips together. I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing between these two clips right here, both adding a zoom in and a pan down transition, and finally adding some motion blur. And once again, instead of a hard, abrupt cut, we have another smooth transition. Now on our next cut, you'll notice that we're going from a tight shot to a wider shot. So to make this look a little more seamless, I'll do the exact opposite of what we just did and add a zoom out as well as a pan up. As always, I'll finish this off with some motion blur, and we've gone from this to this. Throughout the rest of the edit, I'll be adding some more motion blur to make some of those speed ramps look a bit smoother, and I'll also go ahead and add some more transitions where I see fit. The next thing I'm gonna do is add some sound design throughout the video, and if you wanna learn more about sound design, you can check out another video I did in the top right-hand corner. And lastly, we're gonna go in and color grade all of our footage, making it come to life. I'll first brighten up the footage a little bit using the color wheels, and then I'll add the basic LUT from my Vintage Look 2 LUT pack, and you can check that out down below. Now I can hit Command-C on my color graded clip to copy it, and then select the rest of the footage, hit edit and paste attributes, and this will apply the color grade to the rest of the video. So here is the raw footage we started with. And here is the final video. But that is it for today's tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, then make sure you hit it with a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at daniel.schiffer. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!